Aisha or Aisha's curse is a scary urban legend from Malaysia about a young girl who was horribly abused and murdered by evil men. According to the legend, she will take revenge on anyone who looks at her picture. Aisha was a shy country girl who lived in Malaysia. She was born in a small village, but in 1984, she moved to Kuala Lumpur, the capital city of Malaysia. Aisha suffered from a rare disease that gave her photophobia. It meant that her eyes were extremely sensitive to bright light, and it caused her to have severe, pounding headaches. For this reason, Aisha always wore dark sunglasses and never allowed anyone to take her photograph. The flash of the camera would cause horrible, debilitating headaches. One day, the factory where Aisha worked was holding its annual party. Everybody was having fun, and Aisha took off her sunglasses. Someone at the party had a camera and decided to take a picture. As soon as the flash went off, Aisha doubled over in pain and collapsed on the ground. She was suffering from an intense headache, and she began to foam at the mouth. The poor girl writhed on the ground until an ambulance arrived and took her to hospital. Aisha spent 3 days in the hospital, lying in a darkened room. The man who had taken her picture came to visit her and apologized for his carelessness. After that, Aisha was forced to stop working. The doctor gave her some medication and told her to spend a long time resting. She just sat at home and only went out at night when it was dark to buy food. Her landlord sympathized with her situation and allowed Aisha to stay in the apartment without paying rent until she was healthy enough to return home. 1 month later, Aisha was fully recovered, and it was time for her to make the trip back to the village where she was born. That night, after it was dark, Aisha left the house and walked to the bus station. On the way, a car suddenly pulled up in front of her, and 4 men got out. They blocked her path, and when she tried to go around them, they grabbed her and dragged her into the car. The men kidnapped her and took her to an empty house on the outskirts of the city. They tied her hands and feet to a chair. Then, one of the men took out a knife and cut off her clothes. Aisha was crying and begging them to have mercy on her, but the men just laughed at her. They began beating her and abusing her horribly. One of the men took out a camera to take some photos. Aisha begged him not to take her picture and tried to explain that she had a rare condition that made her extremely sensitive to light. The man just ignored her pleas and started snapping pictures. As soon as the blinding flash went off, Aisha was struck by an intense headache. Her head was pounding, and she was screaming in pain. The men kept beating her, taking picture after picture. Every time the flash went off, she felt like her head was going to explode. Blood began flowing from her nose, ears, and eyes. After suffering for more than 4 hours, Aisha was in terrible pain and could barely move. She was still tied up. The men carried her out to their car and tossed her into the boot. They drove her out to a bridge and told her they were going to dump her into the river and let her drown. Just before they threw her into the icy waters, Aisha screamed out, "Anyone who looks at my picture without permission, I will punish them in a dream with the same pain that I am experiencing. I swear I will. Though I'm dead, woe to those who see the picture." The next morning, the 4 men went to the photo shop to get the photos developed. They gave the man behind the counter some money and warned him to keep silent about the contents of the pictures. when the men saw the developed photos of Aisha helpless and embarrassed. Nude and beaten, they began shrieking with laughter. Suddenly, the car in which they were traveling swerved and crashed into a tree. One of the branches came through the windshield and smashed Stryat through the driver's head, killing him instantly. A second man was taken to hospital, but died that evening from severe internal bleeding. A third man survived the crash with only minor injuries, and, after bandaging his wounds, the doctors allowed him to leave. On the way back to his house, the man tripped and fell into an open manhole. He lay at the bottom of the sewer with a broken leg, unable to climb back up. That night, it rained heavily, the water level rose in the sewer, and the man drowned. The fourth man didn't have a scratch on him and went straight home. That night, as he lay in bed, he dreamed that Aisha came to him and began beating him about the head with a stick. When he woke, he had an extremely bad headache. The pain grew so intense that he couldn't take it anymore. He felt like he was losing his mind and started stabbing himself in the head with a fork. He began to regret what he had done and felt like he was being cursed by Aisha. He went to the nearest police station and turned himself in, telling them everything he did to Aisha on that fateful night. All the pictures he had taken were handed over to the police. The man was arrested and he was thrown in a cell while police began the search for Aisha's body. The man eventually died in prison. He took his own life by banging his head against the wall until his skull was crushed. He was unable to endure the unbearable headaches any longer. 2 days later, Aisha's bloated corpse was found floating in the river. She was taken to the mortuary where they identified her from her fingerprints and performed an autopsy. The doctor who carried out the post-mortem examination had to take a picture of Aisha's corpse as evidence. When the flash from the camera went off, he was shocked to see Aisha's eyelids suddenly close. Not long afterwards, the doctor was found dead due to an overdose of painkillers. Anyone who looked at the autopsy photographs reportedly experienced nightmares and severe headaches. Shortly afterwards, they were found dead under mysterious circumstances. Eventually, the police destroyed most of the pictures. They tried to keep the case secret from the public, but rumors of Aisha's curse began to circulate around Malaysia. Some of the post-mortem photographs that were taken of Aisha were leaked and posted on the internet. They say that anyone who looks at these pictures will encounter the ghost of Aisha in their dreams. When they wake up, they will experience severe and chronic headaches. The image of Aisha's corpse will haunt them no matter where they go. Wherever they look, Aisha's picture will appear in their vision. To avoid Aisha's curse, do not search for her pictures online. If you accidentally come across the pictures, do not look directly into her eyes. Do not send these pictures to anyone. If you do, it will mean certain death for you and for them. Note, the picture of Aisha is too graphic and horrible to post here. It is possible to find it online if you Google Aisha's curse, but we are warning you not to do it.